Welcome to Fantasy Kingdom. I'm your host, Mikey. And as always, riding with me, Shotgun, my boy. Howie, how you doing, buddy?
Howie's doing good today.
Nice,
Ready for a new
nice.
season.
Yeah. So week one had some ups and downs.
It was ugly.
Had some ups and downs. Um, some studs and some duds, and we'll get into those. This is our first live show for sit and start this season. We'll be back every Saturday for the rest of the year, which will be fun. But let's just jump right into the week one results, Howie. Some studs and duds for quarterback. I had Tua, Mac, and Jordan Love. Those were the top three quarterbacks last week. And you have somebody behind you popping her head in.
Oh, that must be my mother. Okay, see you later.
Yep. And then for honorable mentions, I had Mahomes, Anthony Richardson in his first pro game.
Yeah.
Made
one.
The
run for one.
Yep. And then Justin Herbert. So those were my studs and honorable mentions. Did I miss any of the quarterbacks that you can think of?
Well, not really. I was going to say something about Herbert. He really didn't have a great game. They ran so much that he only threw for like 200 yards. This week he's going to tear it up against the Titans.
Mm-hmm.
Eckler's out, so the first option of running isn't going to be there. Plus, Titans have a really tough run defense, and I think he's going to have a really good week this week. I'm looking. I bet you he goes well over 200 yards, maybe 300 yards.
Okay. And he had a couple touchdowns last week, which put him up in the top echelon of quarterbacks.
It did.
Some major duds at quarterback, and we'll get into those too. Running backs, I had Aaron Jones, Austin Eckler, and Christian McCaffrey as the top three coming out of week one. What?
One of them left this week.
Yeah, Eckler is doubtful going into this week. And then honorable mention, I have Tyler Algier.
Oh, yeah.
So to think of Tyler Algier is quite funny because, with Bijan being there, Cordell Patterson being there, Algier was kind of like running back 3. And he's the one who outperformed all of them.
In everybody's mind. Well, he was a very early pick last year, and he was supposed to be their savior and everything. And the whole team last year wasn't a shining example of a team. So, and this year he's got his second year. He's got his wind under him. He knows what he's doing.
I see you, Tommy. I just choose to ignore you, brother.
Oh, that's who it is.
Yeah, Tommy's in the chat. So for honorable mention, other than Algier, we have Pollard, who came back, looked good off that ACL injury.
Oh yeah.
And then Etienne, who looked good off the ankle injury that he had last year.
Yeah.
Was there any other running backs that you can think of last year that I missed? Or last week that I missed?
Oh, let's see.
I think I hit the top 6. No.
Not really. I mean, a lot of guys got hurt. A lot of guys are hurt since then,
Yeah. No problem. I'm just looking for those studs. Wide receivers, we had Tyreek Hill, Brandon Ayuk, and Jacoby Myers. Not the 3 that you think of when you're looking for fantasy studs. You're thinking of Jamar Chase, although Stephon Diggs did have a good game. Cooper Kupp, Devontae Adams. You're thinking of those guys. To hear Ayuk and Jacoby Myers as 2 of the top 3 fantasy scorers tells you how weird week 1 truly was.
Yeah, now Ayuk's in concussion protocol, so
Ayuk is no.
I'm sorry, Myers.
Myers is actually out this week. He's been ruled out. And then honorable mentions, we had Stephon Diggs, we had KJ Bourne for the Patriots, and then Calvin Ridley, who after a year and a half off looked phenomenal.
Yeah, no rush
in week 1. Yeah. For tight ends, I had no studs at tight ends in week 1. There was 0 studs in tight end in week 1. There was 2 honorable mentions. That's it. Hunter
I,
Henry and Hayden Hurst. Both were the only two to score over 15 points in week one.
I'd give just a little bit of credit to Donald Parham too. Although he's not going to be the top guy
He
in.
got a touchdown.
He got
So
touchdown.
he looks good if you're in a standard league.
Right.
But in a PPR league, he doesn't crack, the top
Well,
20.
he had only one pass attempt less than Garrett, the other tight end for them. So, and this week it'll be all Garrett, but we'll see. I like the guy just because he's such a big and tall guy. If they threw to him more in the open field, I'd like to see some of that, but he's basically relegated to red zone.
Yeah, and he's gonna be touchdown dependent to be at all. I mean, even with his touchdown, he had like what 2 catches, like 12 yards and a touchdown.
Well,
so
look at all the tight ends out there after Kelsey and
Hawkinson
and Hawkinson, they drop off severely. I mean,
Andrews,
couple catches. Well, Andrews, once we see him,
yeah.
And if we see him this week,
yeah, he's questionable too. But week one, Hawkinson didn't have a great week, but he still had 9 targets.
Right.
Waller didn't have a great week, but he still had a bunch of targets. So it really comes down to, is your guy being targeted or not? And in an offense like the Chargers, they have so many mouths to feed. Their tight ends are, option 5, 6, 7.
Oh, absolutely.
So,
heck, you didn't even see their number 3 or 4 receivers like you normally would,
Yeah.
With the Chargers last week, you only saw Williams. I don't even think Keenan had more than a couple. You didn't even see his name hardly at all.
Keenan actually had a pretty good day.
He had a good day, but it was a quiet day.
Yeah. Well, it was a quiet day for the Chargers as a whole. Tyreek, it's hard to outshine Tyreek when he goes for 211.
All right.
And Tua, who's dropping 460.
Well, that's true. But look at the score, though. I mean, and that last set of downs for the Chargers was just ugly.
Yeah.
I mean, they're pretty smooth the rest of the day, but you could tell that they had lost Eckler at that point.
Yeah.
They didn't have that punch.
Yeah. And it's funny because they don't want to pay him.
Right, I know.
He makes their offense go, but they don't want to pay the guy. So, we'll get into the duds. Some of the duds, we have Joe Burrow, who had just an awful day. Didn't even crack 5 points.
All right.
Dak Prescott, they won 40-0, but Dak did nothing.
He had very little to do with it.
He had like 186 yards passing and an interception.
Yeah.
Lamar Jackson they won, but he had a horrible day. Scored under 10 points.
Yeah, Baltimore and Cincinnati were probably the 2 most disappointing offenses last week of all of them. You look at it.
And I'll tell you, and my dishonorable mention is Josh Allen. And he looked horrible on Monday night, and he still did better than those other 3 guys.
Yeah.
And he had 4 turnovers. He had 4 turnovers himself. And lost me my fantasy week. The jerk.
He's going to go down as having the thrown more passes to the Jets than Aaron Rodgers did.
Oh yeah, by 400% times.
At the end of the season, you look at the Jets and you look at Rodgers and you look at he won.
Allen had 3 completions to him, and Rodgers had 0.
That's
karma. So, yep. And then running backs, Najee Harris had a horrible day.
Yeah.
I mean, that whole Pittsburgh offense had a horrible day.
Well, that's because the Niners had such a good day against them too, and there was just no fight in that. I mean, if Najee was having a bad day normally, you'd see a little more of Jaylen Warren, and you didn't see any of that. So just the Niners dominated them.
Yeah.
You want to say that Pittsburgh did bad, but they just got smashed.
Sometimes you run into those buzzsaws, and it happens.
Hey, sometimes you're the window, sometimes you're the bug.
Yep. And this next guy is the perfect example of that. DeAndre Swift. Week 1, he was the Bug.
Yeah,
Week 2, he was the window.
man, I'll tell you what, he was something last the other night.
Yeah, Thursday night.
Yeah, I want to say
You know,
last night for some reason, but
yeah, Thursday night. Yeah, he
seems so
was.
fresh.
And he looked so different. I mean, that's the difference between playing a New England defense and
Yeah,
playing a Minnesota defense.
yeah,
Minnesota dropped, 7 or 8 guys every time and dared them to run. So they did.
yeah.
And Swift was racking off like 7 yards a carry.
Oh yeah, they all were. You know, the Eagles give credence to not paying running backs a whole lot of money.
Yeah.
They went with the fleet plan. You
Yeah.
know, they didn't go with one Cadillac. They went with a bunch of Hyundais, and look at them. They're
Well,
tearing it up. They're
I think,
fresh.
yeah. And
You
I'm not
know.
sure Swift's a Hyundai. I think he's more of a.
Well,
Um,
I just meant
he's more
instead
one of
of
those supercars that are always broken down.
right, instead of having one really good guy, they got
Yeah.
four of them
Yeah.
that are all that could play on any other team.
Yeah.
And
And
have.
and all 4 of them equal up to the same contract that Miles Sanders got.
That's what I'm saying. League owners are going, well, hell, if the Eagles can do this and go to the Super Bowl, why are we paying one guy bazillions of dollars and not,
Now,
they what they lose, that you pay. I like to see my running backs paid, but
mhm.
from a business standpoint, if you can pay 4 guys the price of one, and then be able to fill in other positions because of that really helps your team. You
Ooh,
know,
here's one that comes in. Says Bills fan here as well. Just traded Damian Pierce and Jacoby Myers for Terry McLaurin, Dalvin Cook, and Jamison Williams. What are our thoughts? 0.5 PPR. Cook is in a timeshare. I'm not a big fan of Damian Pierce. I like him as a running back. I think he's in trouble with that offensive line that's in front of him.
yeah,
So packaging him and a really good week 1 of Jacoby Myers, I love Jamison Williams. When he gets back, he's the deep threat. Terry McLaurin is a number 1. So I think you actually win that deal.
yeah, it's not a bad trade. I mean, Damien's the number 1 back, but he's
Number
not.
1 back who is on my duds list. He's the next one on my duds list who didn't do anything in week 1. As a matter of fact, Singletary looked better than Damian Pierce in week 1.
Right. No, I think it's a good trade.
Yeah.
You got to be patient with it.
You will. Yeah, you will. McLaurin should help you right away. Dalvin, depending on what Brees looks like, will be depending on how much he helps you. But Jamison Williams is a second half lottery ticket. I would have traded Damian Pierce and Jacoby Myers for Terry McLaurin straight up. The fact that you've got Dalvin Cook and Jamison Williams in the deal is great.
Yeah, it doesn't hurt.
Because I think Terry McLaurin is worth both of those guys. I've never been high on. It's not even I'm not high on Damian Pierce. I'm not high on the Houston Texans run game.
Right.
And Jacoby Myers is great, but he's already hurt.
Yeah, once you get dinged early,
Yep.
There's a chance on more concussions.
I like that trade. Well done.
Good
So
one.
my third dud is Damian Pierce, who just had an awful game. Last week. Devin Singletary was more productive in half the carries. And then my dishonorable mention is Williams for New Orleans.
Yeah.
And Jahmyr Gibbs.
Yeah.
Coming in, he says, worried about Dalvin, but no way the Jets fade out a 20-year-old Dalvin Cook. No, I think he's going to be more in a timeshare with Brees Hall. It really is going to come down, and I think they're going to have to run more now than they had planned on. Now that it's Zach Wilson, I think they're going to lean more on that run game.
Yeah, and that's not a bad problem. They have 2 good running backs in that position.
Mm-hmm. Just know this week they're going against Dallas, who's one of the best defenses in football. Don't cut bait too soon. He may have a really bad game this week. Don't cut bait too soon. Let it play out a few weeks before you do make any moves after making that trade.
Yeah. No, that's a definite patience trade.
Yep. And then and I put Jahmyr Gibbs, and not that he had a horrible week, but where he was drafted in a lot of fantasy leagues, he didn't get enough touches.
Right. I
You
think
know,
David Montgomery still is running that backfield, and Gibbs, they'll work him in, and because he showed flashes,
yep.
but Montgomery was a stud. He did real well this week.
Well,
So
the most rookies have a rookie wall,
oh yeah,
and
they've got to learn the ropes.
yep. Not only that, but they're smart to slow play him. Jameer Gibbs isn't going to be a first half fantasy monster. You're gonna hope he becomes a second half fantasy monster. So be
You
patient with
want to bring
Gibbs.
him along gently,
Yep.
and then you'll have him for years.
Yep. So it's being patient with Jameer Gibbs. If you're in a redraft league and you don't have the patience and you're expecting Jameer Gibbs to be RB1, RB2, you might think about doing something different. However, if you're in a keeper or a dynasty league, being patient with Jameer Gibbs is the smart play.
Right. Right.
Much like ETN. I got off of ETN last year a little bit too early. I used him as my streamer rather than hold on to him. And then they traded James Robinson, and all of a sudden he blew up.
Yeah.
And after like week 6, it's all about coming out of the gate, being patient.
Yeah.
For wide receivers, T. Higgins got a big old fat 0.
We had
What's
a bunch
going
of
on, Matt
bunch of
Chatter?
attempts too. Hey,
Matt Chatter's in the house. DJ Moore had a rough first
oh,
game
oh.
in Chicago. And that's
Yeah,
your
I'm glad
guy.
I didn't start him.
That's your guy. Amari Cooper, although they won, had a rough game.
Yeah.
And then dishonorable mentions, there's 2 guys, Jamar Chase and Terry McLaurin. Terry McLaurin had the targets, but he just couldn't connect.
Yeah.
So I just be patient with McLaurin. I think they're going to come around. They're going to figure it out. For tight ends, we had Dallas Goedert, who had a big fat 0.
Yeah.
Kittle, who only had a couple targets, and Dalton Schultz. And then back to that Houston, thing. Dalton Schultz was drafted like round 5 or 6 in most leagues as like tight end 5, and he did nothing. Dishonorable mentions: Kyle Pitts and Darren Waller.
Right.
Yeah. So it'll be interesting to see how that plays out. So from the duds, did I miss anybody that you had on your list?
Let's see. No, you got them all.
Not only that,
it wasn't an inspiring week. There were so many teams that you would think would crush other teams. They're terrible.
Yeah.
The top 3 AFC teams lost. And now the Chiefs didn't lose because of Mahomes.
Correct.
The other 2, they lost because of their quarterbacks and numerous other problems.
Hey! Pipe down over there. Careful. I'll put you in timeout. Yeah.
I mean,
Tommy's
even the Redskins won last week. So,
yeah. Tommy wants to know why Data's just staring at him. Tell him to relax. Not only that, he's pointing something at you, Tommy.
That's right.
He's telling you to watch yourself.
He keeps an eye on me,
Yep. So let's jump into some key matchups this week. We have Ravens at Bengals. It'll be interesting to see how this one plays out. What's your outlook from a fantasy perspective on this matchup?
Where'd they go? Which one are we doing?
Ravens at Bengals, number 1.
Oh, geez. Well, Baltimore's got a pretty banged up secondary right now, and since he's got to make a statement here, we can catch the ball, we can throw it and run it. Baltimore's got Odell and Zay Flowers probably is going to be their bright spot. Higgins, like you said, did terrible. I mean, they threw him the ball. I think he had close to 10 attempts, but he didn't catch one of them. It's gonna be a interesting game, and whoever if Cincinnati loses this, they're 0-2 in the division.
Mm-hmm.
And that North division is gonna be tough. So I like Cincinnati in this game. I like Cincinnati to come back hard because Baltimore they're floundering in their running game.
Well, they just lost Dobbins
They
too, which
lost
doesn't
they
help.
lost Dobbins. They're not really sure. Yeah, I mean, all they got left is really Lamar as their best runner, and we'll have to see if Gus Edwards or the new kid can
Hill, Justice
can
Hill.
make it. Yeah, because Justice Hill got a couple touchdowns, but he only had 9 yards. I
Yeah.
know he was only in the game a little bit, but I would say their running game is questionable right now.
Okay. All right. I do agree with you that I like the Bengals skill players better, Mixon and some of those guys. But I disagree with you from a Ravens standpoint. It's not just Odell and Zay Flowers. They also have Bateman. Um, if Mark Andrews, I think Mark Andrews is the key to that offense. If he's back,
If he comes back,
yeah,
that's a big deal.
yeah,
But if he's still hurt or he's out, that's tough. And I hope he comes back. I've got him in the show. You
okay.
know, so I'd love to
So
see him back.
so how do you think Cooks will do in the in fantasy? And what Cooks are we talking about? Are we talking about James Cooks, as it's from Matt Cheddar? I'm guessing he's talking about James Cooks. What's your take on James Cooks so far?
I like James Cook so far, but I'm not. I still got to see more from him. He's he's I don't know. He's basically going to be the main running back there right now, but it depends how they use him. It's the same problem with anybody on Buffalo. What's their offensive coordinator going to do? How they going to use it? How they going to use? They got all these bright shiny objects, and the guy doesn't know how to play with them.
Listen, you do. There's no slandering of Ken Dorsey on any Mafia Sports Report podcast. That is Tommy's boy from the U. There's no slandering of Ken Dorsey allowed on this network.
when I saw him go ape shit in the booth last year,
I
crying like a
loved
little
it.
baby, I just thought,
I
there's your
loved
problem. There's your problem.
I loved
You
it,
know,
and so did the guys. I have Jacobs, Algier, Gus Edwards, Justice Hill, Perrine, and Charbonnet. Okay.
hmm.
Love Jacobs,
I
love
feel bad
Algier.
for you.
Why? I
I don't
like
know.
Jacobs.
Well,
I
how
like
did you end up
Algier.
with all those guys unless you went for backups when you drafted?
He probably. I wonder if could be in a 16 team league. Um,
Maybe,
you
maybe
know, or he
that would
went
make more
heavy
sense.
receiver and light running backs.
Yeah, because well, Charbonnet is going to get a little more work. Um, Perrine, he's the number two. Justice Hill is a question mark. Gus Edwards is going to be a question mark. Algier, I like Algier. And Jacobs just had a rough week. I think he's going to be better. I think he's going to come back better.
It just
So
won't happen this week.
yeah, so you got about a fifth. That lineup there is like 50-50. I'd like to see who your receivers are,
Yep.
because
I
maybe you've got like three really great receivers that you're playing, a receiver and flex, and you don't need, you know.
you only need two running backs or one running
I,
back,
I've
depending
got
on
that.
how your setup is.
I've got that situation. I've got stud receivers and Eckler, and now he's hurt this week, and then my running back situation drops off severely. So maybe that's his. Maybe that's what he's got. I don't know. I
Yeah.
I wouldn't be real happy with that group right there.
Well, I'd be patient with this group here because Jacobs is the starter. He's your RB1.
Okay.
And then you play the matchups with Algier, Gus Edwards, and Perrine. Those guys are all in timeshares. I think Gus Edwards is going to end up taking the majority of the snaps.
Yeah.
And then depending on what Javonte Williams does, Perrine could see a higher volume there. Charbonnet is just one snap away from being the starter with Walker the Third, who's been injury prone even in college.
That's true. That's true.
So be patient, let it play out. If I was you, I would go Jacobs this week, and then it's a toss up between Edwards and Algier. Algier looked great in week one, but something tells me this week it's going to be Edwards. I'd probably start Edwards this week, but that's just me.
Yeah.
He has Tyreek, Ayuk, DJ Moore. I had D Hop go out also. London on the bench. Okay. All right, you have Reek, Ayuk, DJ Moore, D Hop, and London. Yeah, you have a good receiver core.
Yeah.
You know, you might look at taking one of your receivers. Maybe take Ayuk and try to flip him for a running back after a great week one, because Tyreek is going to be your stud. DJ Moore, D Hop, and really DJ Moore and D Hop are going to be your 2 and 3. You know, I might try to flip Ayuk for another good running back.
Yeah.
Take Ayuk and Algier and try to flip him for another running back. An RB1 somewhere.
Yeah. If you can find a Niner fan to switch with you, they'll jump on that.
Yep. Yep.
Those guys are
Just an
nuts
idea.
for their homers.
Yep. And Algier had a really good week one. We don't know what he's going to be. Ayuk had a really good week one. I think Ayuk's going to have a good year. I don't know if he's going to have that type of production every week.
Yeah, because you still got Debo over there and Kittle and
Mm-hmm.
TMC and there's
Jennings,
a lot of
and there's a lot of
mouths to feed.
a lot of mouths to feed.
Yeah.
So, if you can capitalize on those weeks and you can find people in your league who's willing to jump on it, you might try to flip it into another RB1.
Yeah, because they both had really good numbers last week, and now would be the time to jump if you can get
Mm-hmm. Find someone who needs a really good receiver or only has one receiver.
Yeah, find someone with a load of backs and no receivers, and bang.
Yep.
And make them pay. Don't go cheap on that one, because that's a pretty good little trade, with those guys right now. I mean, while the iron's hot, both Algier and Ayuk are like, people are like, ooh, so stick them.
Here we go. Pick 3: Jerry Jeudy, Elijah Moore, because Cooper Kupp may be out. Rashard White, Joshua Kelly.
For this week.
Yep, pick 3.
Something's wrong with Jeudy. What's wrong?
Jeudy has a hamstring he's nursing, but he's playing through it.
Yeah.
Well, I would go Kelly, Moore, and Jeudy. Rashard White is still an unknown to me. Like, although he's playing. Who's Rashard White playing this week? Let's see. Who's Tampa Bay playing this week? Well, let's get there. Tampa Bay has the Bears. Ooh, might want to go Rashard White because the Bears did not look good last week at all.
And Rashard White's getting all the carries.
Yeah. So I take that back. I might sit Jeudy, go Elijah Moore, White, and Joshua Kelly, because we know Eckler's out, so Kelly's going to be the lead back.
And he had 100 yards last week as the secondary back.
Yeah.
So,
and I think Elijah Moore actually had a good game even with Cooper being in last week. So I don't trust Russell Wilson at all. So I'd go Elijah Moore, Rashard White, and Josh Kelly.
I agree.
I like it. I like those options. Okay, so let's flip down to the second matchup this week. We have the Chiefs at Jags. The return of Travis Kelce, although he's still going to be nursing his knee injury, he will be returning. Yeah. This is a sneaky good matchup.
Yeah, it is. It's a replay of the
playoff game
last year.
Yeah.
They were just showing that this morning.
Except the Jags have Calvin Ridley now.
Yeah.
And the Chiefs don't have Juju Smith-Schuster anymore.
That's true. I mean, you look at their receivers on paper and you think, oh, wow, these guys are great. But if you watch that game last week, you're thinking, well, none of them have hands.
See, I look at them on paper and I say, ooh, these guys have a lot of upside.
Yeah.
I don't think, ooh, these guys are great. I think these guys have a lot of upside that could be great. Sky Moore was a high pick. Kadarius Toney was a first-round pick. MVS is a solid number 3. So when I look at them from that, but really what makes the Chiefs drink stir is Travis Kelce.
Sure. Yeah. When they can't find anybody else, he knows he's going to have help there. Kelce will either run the route or come back to him.
Mm-hmm.
So.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's a tough pick in this game. I think Kansas City is going to come back and say, we were embarrassed in the first game. That's enough of that. and then they're going to come back hard. Chris Jones is back for them. He's healthy. Um, I, as good as the Jags are, and it could be an upset, but I got to pick Kansas City in this game. Got to. I mean, I think Lawrence and Ridley will have a good game because Kansas City's defensive backfield is average at best. So maybe Ridley and Kirk, a little bit of Ingram, but I just don't see him scoring that many points.
Okay. Chris Jones does return, which is going to be a big help for them.
Sure.
Especially against the run. I don't know. Until I see the Chiefs put it together, I like what the Jags did on offense, man.
Oh yeah,
I really do.
I mean, I think it's going to be a good game, but I don't know.
Okay.
I don't like betting for the Chiefs all the time. I'm the guy who says once you've got a dynasty, let's tear that shit down. But you can't deny Mahomes. If he's got Kelsey with him, he's number one.
It becomes what Kelsey do you have? Do you have a Kelsey who can move? Right. Is he going to be wearing a knee brace that's going to limit him? Like, there's a lot of still question marks around that. Yeah. Can the Jags do it against a better defense? Because in week one they kind of had their way with the defense. Yeah. Say what you want, but Spagnuolo's a fantastic defensive coordinator, and he's going to make it difficult for Lawrence. So it'll be fun to watch. It'll be a good game. That's for darn sure. Let's get into the Chargers at Titans. We know there's no Eckler. Joshua Kelly stepping in his place, but you still have a lot of explosives on both sides of the ball. On the Chargers, you have you have Allen and Herbert and Williams, and they even have Quentin Johnson, who you did not see, their rookie.
Right, and they love him. I mean, when you talk to their players, they're like, "Oh, Q, he's awesome." Well, you haven't seen him yet, but apparently, yeah. And he's probably out there to pick up somewhere. But the problem is with Williams and Allen ahead of him, he'd be that guy who gets a couple nice throws, maybe one long one for a touchdown. I mean, if you're hurting for a receiver this week, you could go out and pick him up easily.
Yep, here we go. I have Aaron Jones and Christian Watson. Should I just look forward to week 3? I'm in a 14-team league, and there's no hope. Yes. You do not want to get rid of either one of those guys. Right. Try to stream in 14-team league. It's gonna be tough to stream anybody.
There's nobody left.
Yeah. You want to know who you want to try to think about trying to grab? See if Zach Moss is out there. He's coming back off of injury, and the back that was for Indy was horrible. It might be, try to find someone you can stream, but those two guys are going to be too valuable down the stretch. You can't break that up just because of 1 week.
Yeah, you got to keep.
You take your medicine this week.
You might find Josh Kelly out there for the week. Somebody like that, because once Eckler comes back, Kelly's relegated to backup, big time backup. Not even a timeshare. But for this week, he's going to be the guy in L.A. I want to say San Diego.
I know. It's still odd to say L.A. Wow. even after all these years, because they were the Chargers my whole life.
I have trouble with
San Diego.
Yeah, Oakland. I want to say Oakland when it comes to the Raiders, and I want to say Redskins when it comes to the Washington team, and I want to say Indians when it comes to the Guardians.
Okay. So he has Deshaun, not without those two guys in his lineup. He has Deshaun, Najee, Mostert, Chase, Zay, with Juju and Pitts. You know what? That's actually a lot better than I expected you to have in a 14-team league.
That's pretty, yeah.
That's you have a chance to win with that lineup.
Yeah. That's a long season. Don't let you got to be patient. Week 1 or 2, you might have guys hurt and you might be down a little bit, but I went 0-7 1 year and came back 7-0 and won the league. So hang in there.
Yep.
Because that's a good team.
That's a real good team, and it's a bummer that both of those guys are out right now. Hold tight. I also have JT on my IR too. That is fantastic because JT looks like he's gonna be back week 5. So you're gonna have Jones and Taylor as your
Yeah.
ones. Listen, it's just 1 week. Take the medicine this week. Hope those guys can come through for you. But if you lose, don't hold your head down at all.
Yeah.
You have a solid team there. Don't mess with it.
Yeah, I like it. Especially for a 14 team. It's like, who are you playing with?
Yeah.
To let you get Jones and Taylor. I mean, now I get sneaking Taylor away from people because they're thinking, oh, maybe he won't play. But geez, you got Chase and Mostert and Zay and even Juju, and Pitts at tight end.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Oh, we played Hawkinson this week too. Ouch. You're already looking up because Hawkinson had a really good game this week. Listen, 1-1's not bad after 2 weeks when you have guys that are injured. You're 1-0 right now. Roll with it. Don't do anything crazy. Sit on it.
Yeah.
You're right to sit on it. Okay. So, then on the Titan side, I think we were talking about the Titans. On the Titan side, we have Henry, we have D Hop. That's pretty much it. It's Henry and D Hop show. I know they have the.
Well, they got Treylon Burks and they got
Burks, but
Chig Okonkwo,
which I love. Chig, I love Chig.
I just love the name. But yeah, they don't have a lot of weapons. They're going to load the box on Henry, and then they've only got a couple guys to look at, to cover. So I got to be putting my money on the Chargers this week, definitely.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
And unless the Chargers defense just utterly fails.
Well, unless they run over them, but
however,
that's going to happen.
If you have the Titans, the good thing is D Hop's going to get about 10 looks a game. And Henry's. The funny thing is Henry was actually out snapped by Spears last week. By the number 2, because he was in passing down so much. But he had a long catch and run too. Henry did, which is crazy. So, all right, well, we're going to transition to the sit start this week. Howie, I'm gonna run you through some in each of the 4 main categories: quarterback, running back, wide receiver, and tight end. You tell me, who would you start? Oh, we got another one that came in. Said, would you rather trade Pittman for Watson, and would you trade Pittman for Watson and Algier?
No. I mean, Pittman's looking good, but he's still one of them. I don't know.
I would do it. Watson has a higher upside than Pittman. I would take it.
Oh, wait a minute. I was looking different on that. I don't know if I'd want Pittman.
Yeah.
Instead of Watson or Algier.
Would you trade Pittman if you had Pittman? Would you trade for Watson and Algier?
I don't know why I read that weird, but yes, I would trade Pittman away for those two. That's a steal.
I would trade Pittman for Watson straight up. If you can get Algier in the deal, then you're doing fantastic. Watson, you'll have to be patient with him because he's banged up and he's still coming back. Yeah. But that guy is a monster when he's healthy.
Look at last year; they didn't play him hardly at all at the beginning of the year, and then he just crushed it the last 7 or 8 games. So he's another
other way. I wouldn't. Other way around. I'd keep. If it's the other way around, you keep Watson. Yes. No matter what. Depending on whoever has the Watson side, that's the side you want. So if you have Pittman and you're trading for Watson, that's a great deal. If someone is trying to trade you Pittman for Watson and Algier, I wouldn't do that.
No. Should I trade Jacobs for Connor and Pittman?
No.
Well, Jacobs has got such a high side. Once
he led the league in rushing last year. And he has a better offensive line this year than he had last year.
Right. Well, let's see on the plus side for Connors, he's the guy, but he's playing for the Cardinals.
No quarterback.
So
they're stacking the box.
Well, I'm looking for plus. I'm digging for pluses here. Okay. Should I trade? No, do not trade Jacobs for Connors and Pittman.
I'm not trading Jacobs unless I'm getting back a tier 1 receiver, tier 1 quarterback or a tier 1 running back that's better than Jacobs.
Yeah.
Jacobs is a first round pick for a reason.
He
He
had a
led the
rough
league in
week last
rushing.
week, and that was it.
Yep, he led the. Well, you guys remember he also didn't have a training camp either because he held out.
Right. Well, and Denver's a pretty good defense, so
Yep,
he had a rough week one. I mean, that was basically his
he's
training
gonna have a
camp.
rough week too as well going against
Yeah.
the Bills. But at
Oh,
the end
yeah.
of the day, give him a few weeks to get his legs under him. Jacobs can be fine. You don't want to trade him. He's one of the top running backs in fantasy.
Yeah, he's not just a grinder. He can really slash too. Because look what happened last week.
Oh, nice! Got him at pick 19 because he was holding out. Woo! That's a good pick.
He got Jacobs at 19. Yeah. Let's see.
Unless you lost Dobbins, J.K. Dobbins last week, I wouldn't do 2 for 1 for Josh. I wouldn't trade Josh at all. Josh is one of the top 5 running backs in fantasy. Like
I'm not a big huge of Dobbins either. It's like
he's always hurt. He's always hurt. He's a great running back, but the guy can't stay healthy. He has the worst luck. Yeah, he has the worst luck. So let's jump into this. Quarterbacks. Would you start Anthony Richardson at Houston or Jordan Love at Atlanta?
Richardson. I think Atlanta's defense is coming on, and Jordan's going to be shy of a couple weapons this week. So yeah, I'd go the other way.
I would go Richardson as well, but I'd go because he gives you the dual threat that Jordan doesn't. Would you start Jared Goff at Seattle or Justin Fields at Tampa Bay?
I'd go with Goff. Goff's got all those weapons. They're rolling. They're
also at home, which is helpful.
Yeah.
Goff plays better at home. I like Justin Fields' upside as a dual threat, but that Tampa Bay defense is fast, and I don't expect. I like Justin Fields as a long-term play over Goff, but I like Goff this week in the matchup.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I gotta go with Goff. But
Lamar, Jacobs, Algier, Reek, Ayuk, DJ, Drake London on the bench. Okay. And Drake London on the bench. That's a good one. That's who I'd start. Lamar, Jacobs, Algier, Tyreek, Ayuk, and DJ. That's a good starting. With Evan Ingram at tight end, that's a really good starting lineup. You are good this week.
I've got Ingram at tight. I've got Ingram on my team. So yeah.
I have London on the bench too. Okay, so then let's go to our final quarterback one. Dak Prescott versus the Jets or Brock Purdy at the Rams?
I would go with Purdy. Dak didn't do that. Dak, they won 40-0. And what do you get? A touchdown and an interception?
Not even a touchdown.
Not even a touchdown, an interception. So
186 yards and an interception for Dak.
No.
Well,
Dak,
Brock Purdy just ate the Steelers defense up.
Yeah, and the Rams had an asterisk type of week, and was like you didn't expect them to do well, but they did, and I don't see them pulling that against the Niners. So yeah, I got to go with Purdy on that one.
And Draco, yes, I do think you're good this week. I think you leave that lineup, set it, and let it go.
Yep, there you go. Set it and forget it.
Yep, absolutely. I'd go Brock Purdy too. That Jets defense is nasty. It flies around, it hits hard. I also think that where the Jets are weak is in the run game. You can run on them, and I think that's where Dallas is going to rely on its defense to do what it did to the Giants and bully them, cause Zach Wilson to turnovers, and it's going to be a defensive game. I don't expect it to be a high-scoring game. I would take Brock Purdy too. Although Aaron Donald healthy changes that defense. So, it's not a great matchup either way. If you have better matchups, I would take them. From a running back standpoint, would you go with James Cook versus Las Vegas at home versus Las Vegas, or Jahmyr Gibbs versus Seattle?
I think Montgomery's still in control of that game, that running game over there. So, I think Did you say Jacobs against Buffalo?
No, James
Oh,
Cook.
Cook. You said Cook against.
Yeah, against Vegas.
Yeah, I would go with Cook. He's going to be their full time back. He's great at catching balls. Hasn't shown a lot,
Yeah.
but I guess I'd have to say Cook with let's see, you know, but Gibbs is the guy you're going to want later in the season. Should I trade Pierce for Gibbs full PPR? Yeah.
Yes. Absolutely.
That's a no brainer.
If you can get Gibbs for Pierce, although Pierce is RB1 today, you won't win it. You won't win the trade early in the season. You'll win that trade in the playoffs.
Right.
Gibbs is gonna really take off later in this year.
And they're smart. They're bringing him along.
Yeah.
Giving him confidence, letting him build. He's going to catch he'll take over from Montgomery, say week 6 or so.
I don't even know if he takes over from Montgomery.
He might not.
They're going to put him in the slot. Together. They're going to put him in the slot and let him catch balls too. Like they're going to
better.
They're going to use them all over the place. So if you can get Gibbs for Pierce right now, and you have another running back that can just slot in for Pierce, I would do it.
Yeah,
100%. Okay, so you said you would go Cook over Jahmyr Gibbs, right? This week I would go. I forgot to add Terry Pierce and McLaurin for Gibbs. Ooh.
Well, what else do you have for receivers?
Yeah.
Oh, I mean, it's like McLaurin, your number 4 or something, or your number 3.
Is he your number 2? If he's your number 2, you don't trade a number 1 running back and a number 2 receiver for a guy who could be really good. Because Gibbs is still just upside, and I think he's going to be really good. But giving up on McLaurin and Pierce, that's rough. If you have the receiver depth to offset the loss of McLaurin, and he's just a bench player for you, then yes, you do it.
Yeah.
But I would probably ask for another guy back as well. I wouldn't go 2 for 1. I would ask for a late round guy. Let it be someone like Christian Kirk or I'm trying to think some of these other guys that are kind of down the depth chart of them. A Quentin Johnson, Hunter Renfro. Go make it 2 for 2.
Yeah, get a little something more for that. But like I said, if McLaurin isn't like one of your top 2 guys, then get somebody. Yeah. Get a second guy, but it's not a bad trade then.
Yeah.
If McLaurin's your number 1 guy and you're thinking, "Ooh, Gibbs is going to be wonderful," well, that's just thinking. You don't know for sure.
You not only that,
you know what you get with McLaurin, and Howell loves to throw to him and Dotson. So
yeah, not only that, but you lose your number 1 receiver, and then you lose your number 2 running back. And that's not a great trade for a guy who, although I think he's going to be really good down the stretch, losing a 1 and a wide receiver 1 and an RB2 for a RB2 at the moment isn't worth it.
Now, if you're in a keeper league and he's keeper eligible and you're thinking the future,
then hell yes.
Then yes, absolutely. But that's a lot of ifs.
Yeah. So, okay. So, we talked about Jahmyr Gibbs and Cook. For week 2, I would go with Cook as well. Down the line, I'd probably lean more towards Gibbs. The second one is Miles Sanders versus New Orleans or Najee Harris versus Cleveland.
Wow, that's a tough one. New Orleans has a pretty good defense, but
so does Cleveland.
So does Cleveland. That's what I'm thinking. It's like, oh my God, give me the 2 again. What have I got to look at?
Miles Sanders or Najee Harris. And while you're looking at that, I'm going to read this one. I got 3 running backs. Should I start them all or just 2 of them? I have Montgomery, Kenneth Walker, and Pacheco. Who should I start? Who should I play my flex? Romeo Doubs, Michael Thomas, Atwell. I would go Montgomery and Kenneth Walker and Romeo Doubs as my flex.
Well, Romeo's going to be the target
Yep.
this week. So yeah, I like David Montgomery best of all.
I love Kenneth
Um,
Walker too.
I like Kenneth Walker if he doesn't get hurt. Pacheco is your more more sturdy pick, but he probably won't score as many points because there's so many mouths to feed in that league, in that team. But so if I had to pick, I would go Montgomery, Pacheco, and I lost the feed, but
Oh, I'm sorry.
and Dobbs. That's who I meant. That's who I would go with: Montgomery, Pacheco, and Dobbs. I like Walker,
Mm-hmm.
but he's playing it in Detroit at home at Detroit. So yeah, I'm gonna go with what I said: Pacheco, Montgomery, and
Okay.
Dobbs.
Here's another one, Howie. Says just traded Andrews, Aaron Jones, and Debo for Stevenson, Garrett Wilson, and Kittle in a keeper league. Win or loss? For me, I think it's more of an L. I love the upside of Wilson. I think he's going to be a top 10 wide receiver.
Yeah,
I think Andrews is a better fantasy tight end than Kittle, and I like Aaron Jones more than I like Stevenson. The what you got out of it is Garrett Wilson.
yeah,
I think if Andrews comes back and plays, he's a top 2, top 3 fantasy tight end. Aaron Jones is still a stud. He is getting older, so you did get younger by trading Jones for Stevenson. So in a keeper league, you probably did the right thing. Debo, I think his best days are behind him. I think he never has a season like he did before.
yeah,
Honestly, um, I don't think it's a loss. I think it's a wash. I
yeah,
think you did well getting younger. Although you're going to sacrifice some points this year, in the future, I think this is a better team.
yeah. Because out of that group, Wilson's the one that's going to go forward. Everybody else is slow. I mean, Stevenson's. I don't really have an opinion on him.
Mm-hmm.
He's, people like him, but I don't see the I don't see the love for him. And Kittle, a few years ago, Kittle was boy. He was the guy. He was the one right next to Kelsey, and now he's dropped substantially. Um,
Okay, but
I think he did
he
okay.
does have Kincaid on his bench, who could be his long term tight
Oh
end.
yeah, he could be really good. That's
Yeah,
just another if, but he's in a situation where they like their tight ends.
yeah.
So
You know what? I think it's a wash. I don't think it's a win or a loss, and I don't think you'll know this year. I think it's down. I think Garrett Wilson is the key to that trade. Getting Garrett Wilson out of that is going to be a big win for you moving forward. I think you'll take a little bit of a downturn this year from a point scored, but overall, I think it's a win moving forward.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I'm with you, Spin. And what's going on, Spin? Welcome, buddy. Um, Kittle's too injury prone. He gets injury. They'd also Kittle is boomer bust every week. You don't know
Right.
what that 49ers offense is going to do.
Well, they don't revolve around him as much as they did a few years ago. Before they got CMC, he was kind of the drink that stirred, the straw that stirred the drink. And then CMC came in, and now he's a support structure.
Mm-hmm.
So, and he's, like I said, he gets hurt. What's this? Super Flex League start 11 lineup.
Oh, look, you're gone down too far. Just wait. I'll get there.
Oh, okay.
Says Caden, the Colt fans comes in and says my team's pretty loaded, so I have depth everywhere. That's why the move for Wilson. Then you know what? If it's that's the case, then I think you did well. Like I said,
Yeah.
I don't. If you have the guys this year and you traded away guys that you had replacements for, great. I think the win is Garrett Wilson moving forward.
Yeah, he's the one I would want to bring forward with my team. The rest of them you can always pick up in a draft pretty much. So
Mm-hmm.
So Wilson is a good one for the keeper.
I agree with you here, Spen. Kincaid's fantasy value is purely if he gets TDs, especially until Allen Kincaid build up. I think Kincaid is going to struggle early in the year to be an elite fantasy option. I think he has a better chance later in the year, but really where Kincaid's value is in a keeper or dynasty format this year. And then here's the one that you're talking about. It's a super flex league. Starting 11 lineup is Lamar, Richardson, Hal, Stevenson, Pierce, James Cook, Garrett Wilson, CeeDee Lamb, Hopkins, Lockett, Kittle, and Kincaid. Okay, that's a good lineup. You have two. You have two. You know, dual threat quarterbacks. And then you have Hal, Stevenson, Pearson, Cook. Okay, those aren't the greatest running backs, but they're going to get you points. Wilson, CD, Hopkins, Lockett are really good, and then Kittle and Kincaid. Yeah, I think you've done well.
Yeah.
No, knowing that's what you had, I think you're all right trading what you traded. Aaron Jones is hurt too, and he's going to be in a timeshare throughout the year because Dylan's still there. Me and you both, brother. Me and you both. Like honestly, doing this is kind of my therapy. It's what helps me through it. He also wrote that he had Kamara and Kelly too, the Colts fan. So yeah, you have a good little setup there. So, all right. So did you give me the Miles or Najee answer?
Um, Najee.
And I would go Miles Sanders. I don't trust Najee. Najee has done nothing in the last 2 years.
No, I just flipped a coin on that one because I don't know how good Carolina's run game is going to be. So
no, but Miles can also catch the ball out of the backfield, which is helpful.
Yeah. What did he do last week?
Miles, I don't think either one of them did totally too good.
Well, Najee, we know didn't do anything.
Yeah, let me see what Miles did in week 1 real quick. Why I looked that up. You want to hit this? Why I looked that up? This comment. Do I start Nico Collins or do you hope on Amari Cooper? You start Nico Collins.
You got to start Nico if you're not sure Cooper plays. I mean, either that or be right on the, keep your lineup really tight right up to game time. But I would go Nico. I've been pushing Nico for a couple weeks anyway. He's kind of the guy over there. So I like Nico. I like Cooper better if he's playing.
Yeah.
But if you're worried at all, and you can't like hit that button right before game time, go with have Nico on there and then keep an eye on it. That's what I would do.
Okay, cool fans. My actual question is to start to Josh Kelly with Eckler out, Pierce, Cook, or Lockett. So you have to start 2.
I'll go Kelly and Cook.
I think you're right.
I mean, out of that 3, because you got Kelly, Pierce, or Cook or Lockett.
Yeah, that 4, I would probably go with Kelly and Cook as well. Lockett's in a weird position now that JSN is there.
Yeah, there's 3 of them there, and they're all useful.
It's flip a coin on who's going to have the day. Metcalf's going to have the day regardless. So it comes down does JSN and Lockett, and Lockett did horrible last week. So I like the Kelly and Cook. Those 2 guys are going to get touches.
Right, absolutely. With Eckler out, Kelly's going to get 20 touches. Cook, it depends. It just depends on that offense.
Yeah. So before we get to this next question, Miles Sanders had 18 for 72 and then 4 catches for 26 yards. So he had almost 100 yards on 22 touches. So I would go with Sanders. We'll get to this one, then we'll get back to that. So someone offered me Chubb for Amara. Do I take it? I have Kupp, Ridley, Higgins, Addison, Bourne, and Q Johnson as my wide receivers, and Madison, White, Akers, Charbonnet, and Gainwell as my running backs. Yes. You have.
I love Amon-Ra, but look what you got behind you.
And you need that RB1. Madison's not. None of those guys are the RB1. Chubb gives you a true RB1. I would do that in a heartbeat.
Yeah.
It sucks that you got to lose Amon-Ra. Don't get me wrong. But Ridley's a wide receiver 1. Kupp, when he comes back, is a wide receiver 1. Higgins is a wide receiver 2. Addison's a wide receiver 2. Bourne actually is the wide receiver 1 in New England. Right. So you have plenty of depth there. Take it all day long.
Yeah.
And Chubb is probably top 3 fantasy back this year.
And if something ever happened to Jefferson, Addison becomes a number 1 bone.
Yep. So yes, do that. If you have the chance to do it, I pull the trigger right now.
Yeah. Yeah, don't wait.
Yeah, don't wait. Don't let them think about it. Okay, the next one for you, Howie. Isaiah Pacheco against Jacksonville, Raheem Mostert against New England, or Javonte Williams at Washington.
Let's see.
Pacheco, Mostert, or Williams.
Mostert's nursing a knee.
But
Williams.
playing. Javonte, Denver.
Oh, who they playing?
They're playing Washington at home.
Washington can be run on. I think I would go with Williams.
Yep.
And Washington's my team. So, yeah,
Williams does split carries with Perrine. Pacheco splits with two other guys, and Mostert's kind of the lead back, but he's hurt. And they throw the ball; they don't run the ball. Right. So I would probably go. I would either go Javonte or Pacheco, leaning towards Javonte until they show that they're actually going to give Pacheco some love. Because I played Pacheco last week and they didn't. He'd get him down to the red zone and then they'd throw a touchdown.
Yeah.
So, okay. And then the last one for the running backs, Khalil Herbert against Tampa Bay or Cam Akers against San Francisco. I'm messing with you this week, buddy.
Cam Akers, he on paper he had a good game last week, but he only did it in the last few minutes of the game.
Garbage time is garbage time, brother.
That's garbage time, but that Kendre guy, I think he's gonna do the bulk of the running there. The other one I had to pick from is
Khalil Herbert.
Who
did not look good last week. Roshan Johnson actually looked better than he did.
And Johnson's in there. Boy, they're both playing. I got to go away from San Francisco.
That's what I was saying. That made my decision too.
I got to go away from San Francisco. I'd go to Khalil Herbert on that only.
Yeah.
I don't like either one. You know, Khalil was my guy last year. Mm-hmm. He's got a lot of potential. I don't particularly like Akers that much, but like I said, when it comes down to the two of them, they're pretty equal, and I'm going away from San Francisco. I'm not running to Khalil. I'm running away from San Francisco.
Okay. Got it. And I'm the same way. It's really just going away from San Francisco. Ooh, love this one spin. I'm going Laporta. Laporta.
I've been talking about Sammy since before the season started. At our draft, I kept saying, "Hey, Laporta's available. Laporta's available." I'm that guy in the draft that doesn't shut up.
Yeah. So you kind of want to punch him.
And you know, Kittle is Kittle, and he's
a boom or bust.
He's really good, but you don't know for sure. And Laporta, is gonna get his taste there.
No, not only that, but right now you have to remember they have 3 wide receivers that are suspended through week 6. So Laporta technically is wide receiver 2, is option 2 in the pass game. It goes Amara, Laporta,
and Reynolds,
and then Reynolds.
Yeah,
yep.
And that's it. And then their backs. So yeah, I would go Laporta over Kittle. It sounds strange, but it's at that transition. You know, we've seen a lot of guys come and go, and there was a time when I would have said Kittle, no doubt. Well, but Laporta's on his way up. Kittle is.
I think Kittle's fine, and he'll still be there. The problem with Kittle is he's boom or bust every week.
Right.
He's not always in the game plan for the passing offense because he's so good. Like if you're telling me for true football, I'm taking Kittle all day long because his ability to block is better than Laporta. But you're telling me from a fantasy standpoint,
experience and everything, yeah.
From a fantasy standpoint, I think Laporta has a higher upside from a scoring of points. Here's one that comes in and says, "Which side y'all want more? All season long, Devontae Adams and Ridley, or Hill and Christian Kirk? Half PPR." Ooh, I'm taking Hill.
Hill's still gonna get,
but it's D Adams and Ridley. Hill's the bigger game breaker. I think Adams and Ridley will score more points than Hill and Kirk. So I would probably go Adams and Ridley because Devontae's gonna get his, and Ridley is a stud. Hill's probably the best fantasy receiver right now in the game. But Christian Kirk's a lot of his points are going to go to Ridley from last year.
Yeah, yeah. God, that's a math problem there. But Ridley's going to get more than Kirk. I got to agree with you with Adams and Ridley. I love Hill. He's my number one receiver on my team.
Spin. That's exactly exactly the way I looked at it. Hill over Adams, but Ridley over Kirk.
There you go.
And Adams over both Ridley and Kirk. So,
but that wasn't my choice.
Yeah. Well, no, but when you do the math, Adams and Ridley are going to outscore Hill and Kirk. So, in the way he has this lined up here, this is the way I would rank the receivers. And I think 2 and 3 are going to score more than 1 and 4. I don't think Hill's so far over Adams this year that would make up for what Ridley will be over Kirk.
Right.
I love the way he did that too. But when does Tua get hurt?
Hey, there's a Buffalo fan.
Oh, I love that. Yep. Well, but he's not wrong every year since college.
Oh, that's true. That's true.
I'll be giving the CMC owner Hill. I have Bijan and would love those wide receivers, but yikes. So you have Hill and Kirk. You would get Devontae and Ridley. Ridley's going to have a great year. So is Devontae. Giving up Hill, you're giving up Hill for those two wide receivers. I know he has CMC, but I'm probably doing it. Howie, are you making that trade for Devontae and Ridley?
Well,
you're giving up Hill.
It works good for your team. You really are giving him a gift, though, if he's got CMC, and depending on what, I don't know where he's at in the league, but I think you're getting the better end of the deal. But he's not going to be unhappy about it.
No, because he's in a really what he is. He's trading those two guys for Hill.
Yeah.
And then the Kirk one is just the kicker, the throw in. It's basically look at it this way. Look at it as Adams and Ridley for Hill. When you look at it from that perspective, you win the trade.
Yeah.
You get two elite wide receivers for your one, top of the line wide receiver.
And I'm waiting for Bijan to impress me. I mean, he's big, he's strong, he's fast, but
you'll see him second half like Gibbs. You're gonna see him second half like Gibbs. They're slow playing him as well. So, all right.
Yeah.
Spen says, go Adams, and Hill over Kirk and Ridley. That's my answer.
Well, it'd be nice if
that was the option.
If that was the option, but that'd be that would be a very simple question if that was the option.
Yeah. I'm in first place. I'm not complaining. Kirk kills me, so I pay so little play time in the slot as opposed to And here's the problem: Kirk is going to get because he's not the wide receiver too. He's truly a slot receiver. When they go 2 wide receiver sets, it's Ridley and Zay Jones. So the only time you see Kirk is when they move. So that's why I said the trade you're looking at is Hill for Adams and Ridley. And if that's the case, as bad as it's going to hurt to give up Tyreek Hill, and it does hurt, I would do it. I also don't trust Tua.
I like the fact that you say I'm in first place. Well, so am I, but I'm 1 game away from being tied for 4th.
Yep. So that's just my take. All right, so let's kick down the wide receivers. Mike Evans versus Chicago or Jalen Waddle against New England?
Oh, Waddle. I think I'll go Waddle. I know you like Evans, but
I have them both. So
Waddle was kind of overlooked last week, and I think they're gonna slot him in a little bit better this week. Give Hill, it's like Hill's gonna be the one they're all queuing on, and it's gonna leave Waddle. That's who I think. Now Evans is playing who?
Evans playing Chicago.
I don't like Mayfield. I'm gonna go with
Waddle. And I'm going Mike Evans. Mike Evans against that defense versus Jalen against against New England, who just shut down Philly's passing game. Yeah.
Yeah, but I don't like, Philly, they're 2-0 and they don't impress me. Just don't. And they haven't gelled yet. They got the running game one week, the passing game the next week. Nice problem to have, but they can't. It didn't seem like they could put them together. I think Minnesota should have won that game.
Okay, that's fine. At the end of the day, you
Yeah,
go Waddle, I go Evans.
right. No,
Um,
no, yeah.
yep. So he says wide receiver 1 and 3 for 2 1s. I want Tyreek so bad, but you have to pull trigger. That's the hard part. Giving up Tyreek, I would do it. Pull the trigger, dude. Pull it. You like Dak over 215 passing yards
It's the Jets.
against the Jets? No.
I don't like it. He might get it, but I don't think so.
He didn't get over 215 passing yards in a 40-0 blowout. What makes me think he's going to get 215 passing yards
Well,
against a really good defense?
they didn't need to pass first of all.
Yeah.
Once they jumped on him, it would have been foolish to just start slinging the ball.
Mm-hmm.
Because then you got a chance of giving it back. And if you do that again, I don't think they're going to jump out ahead of the Jets. Although they might get a couple fumbles or interceptions with Wilson. So again, he probably won't be passing a lot. It'll be Pollard and who? Let's see. Oh, their backup is that's not Tank, is it?
Who?
Who's the backup in Dallas?
Oh, it's the little guy, the rookie. His dad is the coach. I can't remember his name. He's in a minimum. He's a really small guy. Can't remember his name.
Yeah, I don't see that game having a whole lot of points scored in it because you got two really good defense.
Unless it's the defense scoring the points.
Right. Now, if defense scores a bunch of points, that's the only way they're going to score a bunch of points.
Yeah. Okay. So let's kick down to the next one. Garrett Wilson at Dallas or Courtland Sutton against Washington.
I'm going to go with Garrett Wilson because they seem to have a little something between them, the Wilson boys. So
I think he's quarterback proof. It's kind of like D-Hop was back in the day. No matter who his quarterback was, he's still going to get his points.
He's going to get that ball. He's got like super glue hands and Spider-Man act.
Mm-hmm.
I like him. He could play in a Spider-Man suit.
No, I'm with you on that.
But like the Redskins, they're getting Chase Young back this week, so they're going to be even tougher. And Sutton's, I don't think I don't think Denver has a whole lot of chance against them. I mean, it's going to be a closer game because of the defenses, but Wilson has like a 30-point game.
I like Wilson the rest of the season regardless. He's quarterback. He's not quarterback dependent. He's he's immune to whoever his quarterback is. The dude's going to get his point. Last year he played with 4 different quarterbacks and he still was like a top 15 receiver. So I like Wilson regardless. He played with Mike White, with Wilson, with Flacco, and then I think somebody else. Yeah. So
I don't see him getting a whole lot of 30-point games in this situation, but I see him in the high teens, low 20s.
Yeah, constantly.
He's gonna get a touchdown. He's gonna be the main guy they throw to. So he's gonna get
not only that, but he has a really tough schedule this year. The Jets.
Yeah.
So
a 30-point game would be with Rodgers, maybe. Yeah. But not with Wilson.
I mean, he could. I think he could have a few because he has a few games where he's going to be able to have some bad defenses. But I don't expect him to be a top 10 wide receiver this year with the quarterback play. I see him being a top 15 like he was last year, though.
Right. His time will come.
Yep. And he's young, so young. All right. So the next one is Tyler Lockett at Detroit or DJ Moore at Tampa Bay.
I'm going to go with Tyler Lockett. Detroit gives up a lot of points. And even though Lockett's the number 3 guy in that offense, I like him better than I like Moore. Geez. I've got Moore on my team, and over the past few years, he's been money. But in that offense,
it's still early.
they haven't figured out how to use him.
Yeah.
They haven't figured out how to run an offense in that offense yet.
They have a defensive coordinator as their head coach.
Yeah. Yeah.
That tends to happen. Okay. Next one, Gabe Davis versus Vegas, or Drake London, or Drake London versus Green Bay.
Well, London's sitting, right? Let's see.
No, I don't think he's hurt.
No, okay. So London against Green Bay
or Davis versus the Raiders.
Oh, what are they? Let's see. Let's give your offensive coordinator some more shit. How are they going to use Gabe Davis this game? How are they going to use him?
Is he going to run better routes and not be so sloppy on his route running?
It's okay. I'm going to run away from Gabe Davis and go to who am I going to pick?
Drake London. You're like anybody other than Gabe. Drake London isn't a great matchup there either.
Boy, neither one of them. I mean, Jake London doesn't have the matchup, so I guess I should go with Davis. But that's a big question mark. Yeah. Don't hang your week on me on that one. Flip a coin if you have to. Flip a coin.
I would go Gabe Davis too. Gabe Davis is boom or bust.
Yeah.
And this could be a boom week for him after a bust week from him last week. All right, tight ends. That's our final one. 2 of Allen's interceptions. Dave ran horrible routes, and it could have been you're not wrong. Kurt Warner showed what he did wrong in both of them. Tight ends: Kyle Pitts versus Green Bay, or Sam Laporta versus Seattle.
You know who I want? Sammy.
I'm going Sammy too. Kyle Pitts, if he was on a different team, I would say take him. He has the higher upside of the two, but they also are another team who doesn't know how to run a pass offense.
They're kind of in disarray.
Desmond Ridder does not look like the guy at all. Right. Tyler Higbee versus San Francisco, or Jawan Johnson against Carolina.
I like Jawan Johnson. They don't use him as much as they should, but again, I'm running away from the San Francisco defense.
Okay. Dalton Schultz versus Indy, or Jake Ferguson against the Jets. Jake Ferguson is the replacement for Dalton Schultz in Dallas.
Right. So you got Dak.
I'll tell you, if those are your two guys, you're screwed.
Yeah.
Because it's a flip a coin. Neither one of them have done anything yet.
Yeah.
If I had to take one, I'm probably taking Dalton Schultz versus Indy, as that Jets defense is really good.
Yeah.
As Spen comes in and says the same thing, take Schultz.
Yeah.
All right. Hayden Hurst versus New Orleans, Zach Ertz versus the Giants, or Cole Kmet versus Tampa Bay.
Hayden Hurst.
You're going Hayden Hurst?
Yeah.
Derek Carr likes them.
That
was a big bounce.
Kmet there. Yeah, I'm sorry, that was my pen. Kmet, like I said, that offense hasn't learned how to play offense yet. And who was the other one?
Zach Ertz or Cole Kmet?
Ertz is just coming back from an injury.
He has no quarterback.
And he has no quarterback. So, yeah, you kind of got to go with
so I just like the name. He's like, I just like the name Kmet, so I'm going with Kmet. The issue I have with Kmet is very much like DJ Moore. He's in an offense that doesn't know how to truly get going yet.
Yeah, that's what I've got Kmet on one of my teams, and I just can't put him in there because right now at this point in the season, there's so many question marks that there's very few players you can say, I'm locking in on him. So what were the 3? Kmet, what were the 3?
It was Kmet, Hayden Hurst, or Zach Ertz.
Hayden Hurst. I like him.
I would go Hayden Hurst too, mainly because Derek Carr likes him too.
Well, they're using him, yeah.
He's the best quarterback in the best situation. So that's who I would go with as well. So let's go to. So that was our final set start. So let's move to our wrap up. So we'll start wrapping this thing up. Um, Howie's deep league digger. Who's your deep league digger? So we did we dropped a video for waiver wire, but I asked Howie to dig in and pick me someone up that's a deep league, late week. You know, you might need to grab like on the last minute as someone isn't going to play. Who's it going to be, Howie?
Well, I got to go with Josh Kelly on that one.
Josh.
Normally you wouldn't even have him on your roster, but this week he's gonna do real well. So
All right.
that's what I'm going with. I mean, it's tough to come up with a no name guy right now.
Mm-hmm.
Just because hell half of them are hurt, and the other half of them are on the Rams.
Okay, Howie's Hot Pepper Challenge, sponsored by Scott Blakely, who
That's right.
loves his Hot Pepper Challenge.
Okay, this week I'm going with Mike Williams of the Chargers.
Ooh.
I'm going with 7 catches, 112 yards, and a touchdown.
7 catch, 100 yards, and 1 TD. All righty. All right, Jeff. Now it's into the final portion of this non QB X Factor. Who's going to be the top scorer this week for you?
I'm going to go with Keenan Allen.
Oh, you love your Chargers, don't you?
You know,
Josh Kelly, Mike Williams, Keenan Allen.
when you got 5 of them on your team, you tend to go homer. But I just think this week against the Titans, defensive backs, it's going to be a score fest if Herbert doesn't throw any stupid passes. But I think he's just going to eat them up. I would go with almost anybody on that team right now.
Okay. I like it. I think I'm gonna go Stephon Diggs.
There you go.
I think he had a fantastic week 1, and he's on a mission this year. I'm gonna take Stephon as my X factor this week. I think he comes back and has a fantastic week this week too. Him and Allen are just gonna, when Allen threw to him, it tended to go well for him. Okay, a couple more comments. Me starting Antonio Gibson over Bijan Robinson cost me getting Jamar Chase and AJ Brown.
I don't understand.
I don't understand the question either. I don't understand what he's saying. Okay, the other one is my team is a 12-man full PPR. Mahomes, Etienne, Montgomery, Chase, Watson, Hawkinson. His flex is Lockett, Algier, Puka Gainwell, JSN. Rate my team and who should I sit? Who should I start at flex wide receiver 2? 2 wide receivers, 1 flex. Okay. I like the team. Mahomes, fantastic. I love Etienne and Montgomery together. Like that you have Algier as a backup. Gainwell's a good one in there as well. From a wide receiver standpoint, I'm going Chase for sure. I'm going.
All you got is Puka, Lockett, and JSN.
Yeah, I'm probably going Chase and JSN. Me personally, Puka's dealing with a abductor oblique strain. He's gonna play, but I'd probably go JSN and Chase at wide receiver, and flex. I'm probably going Algier.
That's what I would. I think that's what I would do too. Because you don't want to get JSN and Lockett in the same lineup.
And Watson's not playing yet.
Watson's not playing. Hawkinson's your tight end. You got Montgomery and Etienne.
Gainwell didn't play.
Right. So, yeah, Algier would be the flex.
Yep. I'd go JSN at wide receiver, Algier at the flex.
Who's Josh's backup? I'm too far down. I'm sorry.
Oh, yeah, you're too far down. If I started Robinson every time a vampire wins, the vampire can still 2 starting players. Oh, you play in a vampire league. Okay.
Now I'm unfamiliar with that.
Okay, so if you win, so one team is a vampire, right? So if you lose to that team, they can steal 2 of your players.
Oh.
So you have a 12-man league. 11 people play. You have 1 vampire. So one, like, either someone becomes the vampire or you have it just a league simulated, vampire league. And if you lose them, they get to steal 2 of your players. And then, so that one's a rough one.
That would be a fun league, but we don't have the personnel to pull that one off in
Yeah.
our league.
So now I understand what you're saying when you said you starting Gibson over Bijan cost you getting Jamar Chase and AJ Brown, because if he would have started,
Right.
he could have got both of those guys, because you can still any 2 guys off that team.
Wow. Yeah, because Chase bit him in the ass last week.
Is Mixon a safe start? Mixon's going against the Ravens. Depending on who you have, I think he's a safe start. He's the guy. He's the only real back that they have there.
Yeah. Once
However, it's gonna depend on what Joe Burrow does. If Joe Burrow looks like he looked like last week, nobody on the Chiefs or nobody on the Bengals is gonna be worth playing. So should we start Josh Allen? The answer is yes, Scott. You start Josh Allen.
Who's his
because his backup is Kyle Allen. You start Josh Allen.
Start Allen.
Start Allen. Yep, just start Allen. JSN over Lockett, yes. Lockett seems to be the odd man out right now,
and he's good.
He is, but he's also the oldest of the 3.
Right, but if you happen to have him on your team and you don't have the other 2, you're happy with him.
Yeah, but JSN has a higher upside.
Yeah.
He had a better week than Lockett last week. Lockett struggled last week badly. And he's still coming back from injury. So JSN is the higher upside. I would play JSN over Lockett. It says when we draft the vampire can't pick any players until every team is filled. Yeah. So at the end of the draft, Jeff, so how the Vampire League works, at the end of the draft, it's like the leftovers.
He gets leftovers.
He picks, and then if he beats a team, he gets to take any 2 guys. It doesn't matter. Any 2 guys off of that team that he beats.
And he's the only vampire in the league.
Yep.
Wow, I'd like to play that and be the vampire.
Right? Me too.
That would be so much fun to just say, I'm taking so and so and so and so, and watch their eyes go dead,
Well, not only that, but give me I would like the challenge of giving the leftovers and being able to take that opportunity. If I could beat you, I get to pick your 2 guys.
You win a couple quick games and you got the best lineup in the league.
Yep.
You come out and you just somehow win first 2 games. You just picked up 4 starters.
Yeah.
Boom.
And 4 of the best starters.
Yeah, and put those 2 teams boom down at the bottom.
Yep.
It's too bad that somehow in that league you can't work your way around to getting them back. Because generally you don't play somebody twice. What happens if a vampire loses?
Nothing.
Nothing.
No.
Wow. Geez, that seems like I want to be the vampire every year. That would make the league more fun. You might not, Yeah, I can't see how you could lose if you were the vampire.
Because you don't get you were taking leftovers. And if it's a 14-team league, there's a chance 14. You don't win a game.
Yeah, 14 teams.
In an 8-man league, yes. That makes sense. But if you're going 10, 12, 14,
I'd still take the shot. I would
too.
Just for the fun of getting to play that way. It would just be,
He has Mixon, Rashard White, and James Cook.
Okay. And he wants to know which 2 to start?
Yeah.
Because he was asking about Mixon.
Yeah.
Should he start him? I would pick. If I had to put them in order. If Burrow's doing good, I would go Cook, Mixon, White.
Rashard White is the Raiders one, right?
No, he's the Tampa
Bay. He's Tampa Bay.
And he's their number 1 guy, and they got what? They got Evans and Godwin. And I'm not sure who the
and Tampa Bay's playing Chicago.
And
I might this week. I'm going Mixon, White. There's the 2 I'm going with.
Okay.
Until James Cook shows me a little bit more that they're going to use him better in the passing game, I'm going Mixon and White. But that's just me.
Yeah. Oh, sometimes people will bench their best players so they don't risk losing them. Is that how the vampire works? Also,
Yeah, so it's whoever
you can only
starts.
pick starters, huh?
Yep.
Yeah.
I still like that. Honestly, I still love that.
The
You know,
concept is
the
something else.
concept of it. You know what? Next year, spin. I'm gonna do one. We're gonna do a Mafia Sports Report Vampire League.
Yeah. Bring all our favorite fantasy guys in.
Yeah,
Get
I like that.
Spin and Blakely and
Yeah, yep,
yeah.
yep. We're gonna do a Mafia Sports Report Vampire League next year. That'll be fun. That'll be fun. That sounds stressful, man. Can you imagine not being the vampire and playing the vampire that week? Do I
Oh, that's the
start my
worst.
starters or do I not?
No.
Because if we were playing that and I was playing the vampire last week, man, I would have lost a bunch of dudes. Because Josh Allen had 4 turnovers and cost me my fantasy week.
Oh God, if I was a vampire last week, I'd have picked up Chase and oh man, it would be
So
ugly.
I'll take it that Spin is the vampire.
Okay, yeah, we'll go that way.
Because he said he had a chance to get those 2 guys.
He
Randy
brought
comes in.
He brought it to us.
Yep. So Randy comes in and says, down 50 already. Need a ceiling flex play PPR. Elijah Moore, Dotson, Zay Jones, Zay Flowers. I like Elijah Moore this week. With the chance of no Amari Cooper, I'm feeling Elijah Moore is gonna get more. High ceiling though. Who's the highest ceiling of them? Probably Dotson, right?
He's got the most to gain.
Yeah, he's probably the highest ceiling.
Because Jones and Flowers are already starting at a high floor. You expect anyway. And Dotson is the secondary receiver there, but man,
Cleveland's going against Pittsburgh. So Elijah Moore, although he would be the wide receiver 1, he's going against Pittsburgh.
Yeah.
Dotson. So Washington's going against
Denver.
Denver.
Zay
Flowers. I would say Dotson's your highest ceiling guy of them. Just think if you need to win and you have to play the vampire. Yeah. Ugh. Flex, Kirk Montgomery, or Zay Jones. So going back to Randy, I would go Dotson as your highest ceiling guy. Okay. Your highest floor guy is probably it's probably more. So Dotson's your highest ceiling. Floors Moore is probably your highest floor guy. Flex, Kirk, Montgomery, or Zay Jones. I'm going Montgomery.
Yeah, me too.
If Aaron Jones is out, AJ Dillon or Jahmyr Gibbs, PPR. I'm going Jahmyr Gibbs.
I'm going to go with AJ Dillon. We both spit it out. I'm just saying Dillon is going to pick up the slack.
But not from he'll pick it up from a running, but not from a passing. And I have a feeling you're going to see more of Gibbs this week than you did last week.
Maybe.
So I would go Gibbs. He would go Dillon.
Well, and reason for Dillon is you've already got Jones and Watson out, so Dillon's they're going to have to use Dillon more.
Yes, Draco. If you can move Ayuk for JT or Kamara, I would do it, and I would probably take JT over Kamara as the offers. Because you have the wide receivers, what you need is a more front tier running back.
Right.
So if you
JT's
can parlay,
going to be like a week longer.
Week 5.
Yeah.
He comes off the pup. He's coming off the pup after week 4, and they say his chances are he's playing week 5. So, I would choose JT over Kamara. Kamara also has Jamal Williams there to split time with. JT's going to be the featured back. So if you can move Ayuk for JT, I would do it. Zay Jones flex. Oh, he's saying he would use Zay Jones as flex. Zay Jones is a boomer bust to me. He thinks Zay Jones is in around at least 60 yards each game and has the upside of a TD. Okay. Aaron Jones is out. Edwards or Antonio Gibson? I'm going Edwards.
Edwards is going to be the more solid play because he's probably going to be the starter there. But Gibson's got some upside. Problem is Brian Robinson's getting most of the carries. Oh, I guess I would go with Edwards.
Oh, this one's a good one. Jared Goff or Deshaun Watson, 4-point passing TD.
I'm gonna go with Goff. I mean, it's not the full 6, but I think he's going to throw a lot more touchdowns than Deshaun. Deshaun's got your running aspect to him.
Deshaun's playing Pittsburgh too, and I like Goff's matchup better.
Yeah,
I do, because Goff's going against Seattle at home, so I'll take Goff over Watson. JT over Kamara for sure. I would take JT over Kamara. Yes. That's just me. You would take JT over Kamara too?
Yeah, mainly because I already have Williams.
If you didn't have Williams, if I didn't
you
have to choose one,
and I was patient, I would take JT. If I had to have it like if I was 0-2, I'd probably, I don't know, I'd still go with JT.
Yeah, I'd take JT down week 5 rather than Kamara at week 4.
Yeah, I think you have a better chance of coming back in the second half of the season with JT than you do with Kamara. Although he's going to get a lot of love from God damn it, the quarterback there.
Who? Richardson?
No, Kamara.
Carr?
Carr. I think Carr is going to love having him.
Yeah, we'll see. Until I see it, you don't know. That's the problem.
Well, they didn't do much with Williams last week.
Yeah.
And I would have thought that,
there's a lot of mouths to feed in New Orleans. There's not as many mouths to feed
there are.
in Indy. JT will be the feature when he comes back. So me personally, I would take JT. However, go with your gut. Go with your gut. It's the best thing you can do. All right. So we have our X factors. I took Stephon Diggs. You took Keenan Allen. For that, we'll go ahead and wrap up now. We've been on here for almost an hour 40. Look for on Wednesdays. We'll drop our waiver wire video, and then we'll be back live every Saturday at 2:00 Eastern, 11 Pacific. For Howie, I'm Mikey. We'll see you guys next time. Go Bills.